Tony's Topics. Tony's Topics. Welcome to Tony's Topics. My name's Tony, and welcome to the Topics. Blah. Either way it goes. What do I want to discuss this episode? Mockingjay, The Hunger Games Part 1, or The Hunger Games Part 1, Mockingjay, whatever comes first, whatever. Okay, so my take on the Hunger Games movies versus the books, because that's right, I read the books first. The books are some of the greatest literature I've ever read. Some of the greatest literature I've ever read. Honestly, I put it up there above the Harry Potter series, above Harry Potter Book 4 and Book 6, which were her, and I don't know if I go above those, but I'd go at least equal to those. Those were her best writings. Now, as far as the movie goes, Harry Potter, the movie 4, was one of the greatest movies ever made. Just magnificent. I mean, they just had so much going on in that storyline, between the character development, the love stories, the fact of Voldemort coming back, the games, everything was just tremendous. And so when I read the Hunger Games saga, no book had really captivated me like that in a while. Because I read the Twilight series, and the Twilight series, if you read the books, anybody who's read those books, I believe, would agree that the director of the movies definitely made improvements that she should have had in the books. Now, granted, there was more detail in the books, of course, with any book versus a movie, but at the same time, anybody knows Stephenie Meyer doesn't like writing fight scenes. I mean, we had 3 books, and she just didn't write fight scenes. But the director fixed that and made it a better movie. Now, The Hunger Games comes along, and I see the first Hunger Games movie, and I am utterly disgusted by how much they went away from the original book, by how it was shot. There were the casting. I just didn't see some of those characters that Katniss ends up fighting. I just couldn't see those. Honestly, I really questioned if, what's the actress's name, Jennifer Lawrence? I really questioned if she was who I would pick for the main character in the Hunger Games. I mean, the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen in the books is more of a kind of a, I don't know, would I go so far as to say melancholy? I just say she's hard. She's a woman that's had to survive, that's had to help her family survive, who had to take, who had to step up and be the mother of the family when her mom went kind of crazy for a while. And so, she's the head of her household, more or less. And so, I almost kind of saw Kristen Stewart being a little bit better at this role, just because for the drama scenes, for the hard scenes, the I don't care scenes, and I was talking to someone about it over the weekend. I was wondering, maybe it was just the issue that in the books it's told from the first person's perspective, and so I was thinking, maybe they just should have done more voiceovers so you could hear Katniss's thoughts, because that's the way it seems in the book. Katniss is constantly thinking about things. How should I do this? What should I do? What's really going on here? Do I really trust that person? I'm going to kill that person later. Okay, wait, not yet, but soon I'm going to kill that person. And that's the way she is in the books. So the first movie was a complete letdown. The second movie was much better. It stuck with the script a lot better. But anybody knows that second book was really a bridge between the first book and the third book. I almost thought the second book was a little bit repetitive because it started another games. And so I was like, okay, this is just a tad bit repetitive. I expected something different. Maybe it focused more on the wedding of Peeta and Katniss or something like that. But she decided to turn it around and go into a second game. Either way, it really doesn't matter because the third book was the epitome of what it was supposed to be. It was just a magnificent progression. And I mean, it's like one of those book series that I'm just so sad that I've read it and now I have it because, if I could, I might erase my memory of it just so I could read it again with fresh eyes and, But anyway. Either way it goes. So that book series really raised the notch. And when I saw this movie this weekend, Mockingjay, Hunger Games Part 1, I was really impressed by how hard they tried to stick to the original script. They tried to, the original story. How hard they tried to have the important details, so many details. And what I really loved was how they actually built the sets. Hollywood has become so lazy these days, and they try and CGI everything. I mean, let's not even get into the second set of Star Wars ever. Compared to the first set, when they actually had to make that stuff, when they had to make those sets, when they had to make those characters and those props, everything looked real in the first, second, and third Star Wars because, whatever, 4, 5, and 6. Let's not argue over whimsical things. But it looked real because it was real. Somebody took the time and put the effort into the paint, into the, the sets, the props. They put some time into it. And that's what I saw in this first Hunger Games movie. The sets were authentic, very well-made movie. Beautifully well-made movie. Excellent casting. I probably would have thought an older woman maybe for the president, not President Snow, but for, the president of the President Coin. I would have probably thought an older woman, maybe a thicker, heavy-set woman. But the actress that they picked, Julia, I forgot her name. Either way it goes, she was an outstanding actress to pick for the role. Very cold, and that's the whole point of Coin, to be cold and calculating, but at some points admirable. So it was a good setup. Some of the lines I question on Jennifer Lawrence's delivery, and again, maybe it's just the fact that there's just not a hardness to Jennifer Lawrence's face. Jennifer Lawrence has very smooth, nice skin, which almost gives her a much more youthful appearance and probably more younger than what she is. And so I guess I kind of would have liked Kristen Stewart because she kind of looks a little harder, a little weathered, I guess. And to see, it's not like the movie's called The Hunger Games because, she was starving and, it was so great to have food in abundance. And so, plus it's making political statements and whatnot. But, Jennifer Lawrence's face doesn't look like it ever starved. Whereas, Kristen Stewart, I just could play it. I thought she would be an excellent actress. Either way it goes, she passed on the role. The movie got made the way it got made. I think it was a terribly well-made movie. I'm very impressed with it. It finally stuck with the book, practically to the T. I mean, some of the scenes, I imagined it just like the book. I think some scenes were too much daylight. I would have gone with more of a, like when she starts singing the song, I would have gone with more of a sunset kind of tone to that. I think that would have brought out the seriousness of the song a little bit more. And I don't know, for some reason I just thought that the cafeteria would be bigger. I don't know, minor set things. Who would have thought the setting makes so much of a difference? But it does. But for the most part, the casting, the lines, because, if all you had to do really was just repeat what the book said, and the book pretty much gave you a masterpiece in the lines area. But otherwise, very impressed. Well done. Go see The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. That's my time.